Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're in the right place at the right time. It must be Tuesday at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. And you are here with me in Studio A and Miss Fiona over there in Studio B. Hello, Miss Fiona. How you doing?
Good evening, Dr. Ron. I'm well. How are you?
I am still alive and still glad to
Amen.
be here in the land of the frozen people. Okay?
Right.
We are, for those that don't know, we broadcast from Chicago area, and it has literally been snowing and freezing in the Chicagoland area since the first week in February, and it hasn't stopped
Right.
yet. We've been getting snow every day. I mean, it ain't no joke. And I'm gonna say we need it though. As much as I don't like it, we really need it. You know,
Mm,
because as I go into my normal monologue, I don't know no germs that's on the planet that can live through a cold like this. Okay, so, it's very badly needed. And the cold has pushed all the way down to the south. So, there's some folks down there that's going to get rid of some germs that they didn't know they had. Okay. Because it's been like minus 20, 30, wind chill. I mean, like, whoa. I know the germs, they just like, okay, we quit. you know, which is what we need them to do. We need the germs to stop killing people. Okay. So
that's
that's
true.
that's 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 what we need. All right.
Mm,
So we got a great show today. We got Mr. Osei Hutchinson on the line with us today, and I'm really excited because he hasn't been on my show in quite a while. So he's got a lot of catching up to do. So I tell you what I'm gonna do. Can I jump into this monologue and then we can bring him on very quickly, and we'll have plenty of time to talk to him. Unless you got something you want to bring out right quick.
No, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
All right then. Okay. All
Hmm.
right. The first thing I want to do is give a shout out to all of our healthcare heroes that are on the front line. They have been keeping our loved ones alive. They've been blessing us with bringing them back to us in a well position. Especially through this pandemic. I have been wearing this doctor shirt since last year when this thing started. And I tell you, I'm going to keep on wearing it until we get an all clear. We ain't got an all clear yet. I'm going to keep on wearing this, and then I'll do a wardrobe change. But for right now, I am in solidarity with all of my healthcare heroes that are out there on the front line. And I'm giving them all that I got. I'm praying for them and rooting them on each and every day. Second, I want to give a shout out to all of our pastors and spiritual leaders that are on the front line, especially my mentor, Dr. Lloyd Michael Hunt. Dr. Hunt has been on every single day encouraging people and letting them know what they got to do to survive this pandemic. So I definitely want to encourage everybody to go over and check out Dr. Hunt. I have a playlist on my YouTube channel. You can scroll down and see some of his work that goes all the way back to the 90s. He's been doing this a long time, and he has been definitely an inspiration, and I think he will definitely be an inspiration to you too. You can also scroll down on my Facebook page and see some of his messages there as well. All right, so now we're going to skip over some stuff. We ain't going to talk about the corona numbers no more. We're going to let them go because we know it's over 500,000 people that died in the United States already. So we know what's going on with that. But what I would like to do is encourage everyone to go over to aesk-dr-ron.com. And when you get over there, I want you to take a look around, check out all of our advertisers and all of our sponsors and affiliates, and check them out because we need you to support them. And some of our advertisers, especially Quick Fish and Tax, are offering discounts to everyone that reaches out to them from the show, from the Ask Dr. Ron show, and tell them that they saw and heard it on the show. They're offering a free discount on electronic filing. So go click on the banner link and go over to the website, and you definitely can get a discount on getting your taxes done for this tax season. Also, be sure and check out Port Again Sam, because Port Again Sam is going to be on the show in a couple of weeks, well, maybe a month from now, and he's going to be talking about his specials that he has for people that follow us here on the show. And just check out all of the other advertisers. Because of our advertisers, we're able to do what we're doing. Now, once again, that's ask-dr-ron.com. Go over there and check it out. Okay? And then we'll be able to, save you some money. You'll be able to find some people that can help you with whatever your needs may be. Also, while you're over there, click on the tab for YouTube, subscribe. Also, fill out a contact card. Let us know that you're interested in the things that are going on here, and we will be more than happy to reach out to you. If you're interested in being on this show, please reach out to Miss Fiona or myself, and we'll be more than happy to tell you how you can be on the show with us. Okay? So something new. We're doing something different. We ain't going through all of the commercials one by one anymore. We just going to tell you to go over there and do your own reading. Reading is fundamental. Go find the people that can help you get what you need. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our guest page. And there he is, the man of the hour. Welcome to the show, Mr. Osei David Hutchinson. I know I'm missing a name because you got so many names. It's very difficult to get them all in the right order. But I'm welcome to the show, sir.
Oh man, thank you, Dr. Ron. Thank you, Fiona, for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I'm in some place warm right now as I'm shoveling some snow, so I'm glad to be here, warm and toasty, talking to y'all for sure.
I know that's right. Now let me tell y'all about Osei, you all. This man has been involved with the relief organization called Rotary. Now, I didn't know anything about Rotary until I ran into Osei. Now, Osei been trying to get me a member of Rotary for the last 10 years. I just ain't got the time, but it's a very powerful organization. And they go all over the world helping people in places doing things, from small things to big things. And he has been involved with them diligently for so many years that he actually rose up through the ranks to become the first brother of color to be the governor, the title of governor for the state of Illinois, which that position has never been held by a person of color ever until he got there. So, he's a walking legend, as I see it. The first are always the legends. Now, the second person come along, they're not going to be a legend, okay? They'll just be the second person that came along. But, you are the legend. You broke the door open for the opportunity to serve in that position for this relief organization. And I might add, they're a $1 billion relief organization. Let me just throw that out there, okay? So some of the things that they do are worldwide known and have done things, that are legendary. But this brother from the state of Illinois, now, we ain't the most color-friendly state in the first place, but he made it.
Right.
He made it there. And through that organization, he has had the opportunity to travel all over the world with his young people and have done relief work all over the world with young people, because he's got a school let me rephrase that. His wife has a school.
Thank you. Don't get me in trouble. Don't get me in trouble.
That he is very much involved in. And he has taken the students and they have connected up with worldwide programs all over the world. And it's been a beautiful thing. I have had the honor and the privilege of working with this brother. I've had his students on my show. and he's been on my show, and they have such a unique program that, man, I'm just glad to be affiliated with him any kind of way. Every now and then he'll call me up and say, "Hey, Dr. Ron, you want to come to this event?" And I'm like, "Of course I do," and I'll show up and support and be in the
Yes, sir.
room, because there's people from all over the world.
Yes,
And
sir.
and what I saw when, because I had the honor and the privilege to be the MC
That's
when
right.
he
Thank you
was
so much for that.
when he was installed as governor for the
Yes, sir.
organization in Illinois. They had people came in. We were at the DeSable Museum, and it was a beautiful thing. People from all over the world,
That's
got
right.
a chance to
Right.
come and support this brother on his installation. He served a year, a very short period of time, because I'm like, man,
Right.
it's over already. Man, I didn't even get half of my billion that I was planning on submit proposals for. I was trying to get everything done, boy. I was trying to put lights in Nigeria and
Yep, yep,
Ghana,
yep,
and
yep. Trying to get a documentary done. And
I
remember,
sure
yeah,
did. I was like,
that's
man,
right.
this is history. We got to do a documentary on you,
That's
being
right.
the first governor of this
Yes, sir.
organization. I'm like, man, I could follow you around for a whole 12 months. And the year went past, and we didn't even have Corona at that time, and we didn't get not one footage, But it was the
Yeah.
thought that counts,
Yes, sir.
So,
Sir.
it's just a beautiful thing because he has such a beautiful spirit. I stay in touch with him. I call him up. I'll call him up. I know how to catch him now, on a Sunday evening.
That's right.
That's the best time to catch him, because if you call him any other day of the week, you ain't going to get an answer. So that phone number y'all see up there, don't even pay it no attention.
It's not
Oh, man.
Yeah, but no, and I understand because you're so busy, and then you have a family, and
Right.
you added to your family in the last couple of years, so I
Sure.
mean, like, man, you just like, wow. I don't even know how
Sure.
you do it, bro, but I'm glad you're doing it, and you are the right person for the job. So, man, I definitely, welcome you to the show. I can't think of nothing else to advertise for you, but those are the big ones right there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I got another big one for you. We talked a little bit briefly about it yesterday, but I can talk a little bit about that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Whatever your heart's desire, man. We got look.
Okay. Well, let's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let's-
whatever you want to jump on first, jump on it.
Okay. Well, let's start with Rotary since that's where you started, right? So, Rotary, we call it a service organization, but it does do relief work as well. But it does all kind of service. In fact, it now has 7 areas of focus for its foundation funding, right? So there's water and sanitation. It does water and sanitation projects all over the world. It does peace and conflict resolution and avoidance. It does disease prevention and also eradication, and that's a big one, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. It does economic development, microloans. It does basic education and literacy. It does women, or I should say mother and infant health and nurturing and that. And then just recently it added as a 7th area of focus, the environment. So that's kind of the overall picture, if you will, the international organization. The foundation is that $1 billion piece that you talked about. It has a foundation that was started in 1917 with a very meager initial investment of $26.50. In 1917, now that has grown to over $1 billion in assets. And those $1 billion are there for people who are members of Rotary to fund projects that they see that are necessary in the communities, wherever those communities are. So for example, right now, we're actually coming to almost the tail end of a project that we're doing here in Chicago through a group called, you might remember Lyric Squad, my guy, Brother Phanam and K-Love, who were at the installation back in 2015. Well, they came together and they put together this project to create what they call peace ambassadors using spoken word. So they're training young women and men how to use their art, if you will, of the gift of God, so to speak, right? And how to bring peace to communities, how to work with communities, how to do things within community using that gift. And we were able to get funding through Rotary. We got a $50,000 grant for them. And some of that money came from Nigeria. Some of that money came from Canada. Some of that money came from right here in Chicago. And then the Rotary Foundation matched the dollars that we raised and made that $50,000 grant a reality. So they've been working almost a year with that grant, and have been doing some, and unfortunately, we've been in COVID most of the time, right? So they've been still trying to rec shop and having programs, of course, using social distancing and masks and everything. And of course, when everything popped off after, Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery came, they actually were right there in the middle of it, because they're in our community too. So they were part of the solution, if you will. So that's kind of Rotary in a nutshell from the international perspective, right? And then how it can come home locally. Rotary has been around since 1905, started right here in Chicago. It was, let's be honest, 4 white guys who were trying to do business in Chicago. Chicago in 1905 was a kind of a rough place. You didn't know who to trust. You didn't know who's going to steal your wallet right out from under you, right? So they got together, said, okay, all right, we kind of know each other. Let's meet. Let's just get together, have lunch. Let's break bread, right? And what they decided to do was rotate amongst their different places of business. And that's how the name Rotary started, right? And so the first club started here in 1905. They met right down there downtown where Block 37 is now at Dearborn, between Randolph and Washington. And since that time, it has grown into a membership of over 1.2 million people around the world. The second club was in San Francisco. The first non-speaking club, believe it or not, non-English speaking club, was in Havana, Cuba. And it just has branched out to over 200 countries and territories, 1.2 million members. And I've been a proud member. Wow, man, it's 20 years, man. 20 years like this month, that's kind of scary. Now, unfortunately, I always had the reputation of being a good old white boy organization, good old white boy network. And I talk to clubs all over the world now because of Corona and because of Zoom and Skype and these things. And I make it plain to people who are looking at Rotary as a possibility. Say, hey, Rotary just came around the block on some of this stuff. So they didn't let women in until 1987.
Really?
Okay. Didn't let women in until 1987. Wow. And that was only because there was a Supreme Court ruling that said they had to do it. Wow. Because there was a little club in California that said they wouldn't let women in. And I met the sister. She's the first woman president of Rotary. She's a sister from her family hails from Jamaica. Beautiful sister. I call her Mama Sylvia Whitlock. Okay. And they fought against Rotary to say, oh, no, you're not going to leave women out now. After all this time in 1987, and went all the way to Supreme Court, Rotary just thought they had it in the bag, and they were a little bitty Rotary club. They were like 10 members, right? But they had this gumption to say, no, we had enough of this. So use that as a backdrop. Where are they going to load of us, right? Right. And so it has been an interesting road. For me as a black man in this white organization, trying to find ways to connect and leverage the resources of this great organization. Because again, $1 billion ain't nothing to sneeze at. 200 countries, 1.2 million members around the world. But a lot of there's one of the rising stars, if you will, in Rotary, as far as geographical areas, is Africa. So you see African Rotarians growing by leaps and bounds. So as you mentioned, I went, I think when I first met you, I just got back from Nigeria, right? We had this conversation about Nigeria versus Ghana, what you would do,
sure
remember that, right? Yeah. And so I landed my feet in Nigeria, and I spent 4 weeks there through Rotary, just visiting and meeting and living with Rotarians. And as a result, one of the guys I stay with, he's the godfather of my youngest daughter. He goes back and forth all the time. He's my big bro. I got to also say, man, I just lost one of my big bros back home in Nigeria. His name was Toby Okofora. And he just passed away from Corona. And I just found out like a couple days ago. He passed in December. They just had his funeral at the end of January. So love out to Toby and his family,
Yeah, my condolences. My condolences.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I mean, but it's only because of my involvement in this organization that I even met this brother, and we would run into each other at international conventions, and every time we saw, man, we embraced, man, bro, Toby, good to see you, man, and it floored me, man. I was like, man, what? How is that possible? I just saw Toby like 2 years, not even 2 years ago. So yeah, but it's like I said, that international network is big. And so we've been doing work now. Like I said, our grant here in Chicago is being funded by some folks in Nigeria. We've actually funded some work in Nigeria. our current president, because as you said, my role as a governor only lasted a year. Most of the volunteer, and we're volunteers. We don't get a job. We don't get a paycheck. We're volunteers. But we're like business leaders. We're leaders in our professions or what have you. So our current president is a sister. She practices in Chicago, but she also has a practice in Houston. She's a lawyer, but her family hails from Sierra Leone. And so when she came into the club and decided to become president, we're like, okay, so what you want to do? She's like, well, my family is trying to kind of, go back to Sierra Leone. We're trying to do some things in the villages that we, lived in. And so I'd like to do some things in Sierra Leone. So now we're about to build a library in the village where her father went to high school in, wow. Right? And we've raised, we actually kind of, I want to say capitalized, but how can I say, we've leveraged this pandemic, right? And we found a seamstress in Lagos, Nigeria, one of the sisters I met recently in Nigeria, who has her own seamstress business, and she made about 600 masks for us. So we've been selling those online to raise money for this library in Sierra Leone. Wow. So we're trying to connect it all together, right? So we'll be going to Sierra Leone, hopefully, as everything clears up, this year. We'll be going to Sierra Leone this year, hopefully, and going there to build this library. And then we hope this is going to be a 2 or 3 year program where we can build a library. Then we can work on some of the other needs of this village. Because, Dr. Ron, I don't know, Fiona, if you've been to the continent yet, but sometimes you go to some of these villages and it's like, wow, really? They ain't got water. They ain't got electricity. What's going on? So this town.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this village is the same way where, they got a high school there, but it's no electricity and they don't even have a library. So we said, well, we'll start with the library and then maybe we can build on how we can, do other things like electricity. So that's the other piece I was going to tell you about a little later. Just one last thing on Rotary is that, as I mentioned, one of their focuses is around disease prevention and eradication. So most of us in this generation don't even remember what this thing was called polio. Right. Polio was something back in the 50s. Our parents and definitely our grandparents may remember it. But most of us born, after, 1960 or, a little closer to that, polio was something that you didn't, you might have heard about. Right. Mm-hmm. And definitely not any of the young people today. Polio what? And so polio was pretty much eradicated in the United States in 1977, but it still ravaged much of the world. And then up until recently, you were talking about, so Rotary took it on in the 80s as a kind of a worldwide program. And then they decided, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to eradicate polio. Well, as of today, I think we're probably only I should use 2020 figures. I think the number of polio cases in the world from like 300,000 in 1980s per year, we're like at 20 cases because Rotary has funded and encouraged people to do polio vaccinations. I actually was part of that when I went to Nigeria. I put some of those drops in some of these babies' mouths with their mamas holding them. And I was in tears, man, because these mothers were coming to us with their babies. They sang a song to us that said, "Save my mirror." Man, my mirror being that my image of my immortality. I'm getting choked up now, man, because they were so thankful that we were there to help save their children because polio was still endemic in Nigeria at that time. We just celebrated a couple months ago that Nigeria is now polio-free.
Wow.
Polio-free. There's no what we call an endemic wild virus in Nigeria anymore. Still got to do work. They still got to, just like we know with Corona, right? Mm-hmm. Just because, there's a dip in that curve doesn't mean it's over. Like you said, we haven't got the all clear, right? And the all clear, even still after the all clear, is still a process, right? So, yeah, so we're really proud of that as Rotarians, and we can say we're on the road to getting polio out of Africa. Nigeria was the last country in Africa to have polio endemic. There's only 2 countries left, Pakistan and Afghanistan. If you know anything about those countries, they got some major drama going on, and that's the biggest impediment to getting Rotary out of those countries is because of some of the issues that they're dealing with still. Right. But those would be the last 2 countries.
So let me ask you this question. Since you've been involved in Rotary, how many countries have you visited?
So, okay, well, I got to qualify that, right? So through Rotary, I visited 2 countries.
Okay.
Through Rotary. I went to Nigeria twice. And then, we joke about Mexico. I went to Mexico, right? But I actually visited some Rotary clubs in Canada too. So, But through Rotary, and the Nigeria piece was really what got me kind of hooked in on the international piece. And then while in Nigeria, I met some folks from Ghana, I met some folks from Uganda, I met some people who, we go to these international conventions, which of course right now are virtual. Last international convention I went to was in Atlanta in 2017. And everybody from the world was there. It was like 40,000 of us in Atlanta from all over the world. It was like the freaking UN, man. And all my brothers and sisters from Nigeria, they rolled deep. It's like 800 of them that came from Nigeria, right? And then I met folks from Kenya, from Ghana, all over the continent, all over the diaspora, right? So it's interesting that this good old white boy network that we know of, and they still talk a little bit about it on TV. If you watch like WandaVision, they mentioned the Rotary Club in like second episode of WandaVision, right? They mentioned it in The Wire. Right. And most people maybe only know Rotary because they see that wheel if they're driving around. They come through some of these towns and they got all these insignias of these organizations. But it is an international organization that has a very large membership in Africa, in Asia, and in Central and South America. So that's the countries I've gone through Rotary. Now, the countries I've gone through, I can't even count them right now, but I've gone through it probably at least another 10 countries. And that's on the next piece, which is about the school you're talking about.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
So you want to go to that, or you got more on Rotary?
Wait. Let's see if Miss Fiona got something for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we're talking about Rotary. Do you want to jump on there now?
The only question I have about that is there an age limit in which people can join?
Good question. Thank you for that. So again, Rotary was kind of in this concept and mentality of this is for quote unquote professional people. It's a dues paying organization, so you got to be able to afford it. When you really talk about it, it's not that expensive, but you do got to afford it. So technically, Rotarians usually start at about age 30. That's technically. So, and I say that because that's how it has been. So you would have Rotary has what's called, I call a farm team or a younger wing called Rotaract, which was geared towards more college students and young professionals. And then when they became 30, the concept was that they would transition into becoming Rotarians. Well, Rotary has said that ain't working because Rotary is but still in the United States, it's still a bunch of older white men, and now a little more white women too, but older people, right? And who has the energy? Who has the oomph to get stuff done? The younger people. So Rotary as an organization is trying to encourage more younger people to join earlier. So there's no limit. There's no time limit. You can become a Rotarian whenever you can afford it, right? And affording it really is based on the club. There's 35,000 clubs in the world. Mine is being one of it. The Rotary Club of Chicago Southeast. When we meet in person, we meet over at the now it's the Providence Bank over at 79th and Dan Ryan. Now we're meeting virtually every other week, and we've been doing that nonstop since the pandemic started. We were actually using Zoom 2 years before people knew how to spell Zoom, by the way. But we don't say, hey, if you want to come in, we'd love to have you. If you got a dream, you got a vision of what you want to see in the world, you want to change the world, come here and use this organization to do that. And that's how our president really stepped up and stepped in. We were like, hey, what you want to do? And she's like, let's do something in Seattle. Bam, let's do that. And now here we are on the road to building the library, a couple years later. So the answer is there's really no age limit. It's really a question of can you afford it? Different clubs have different due structures. Ours is, I would say, one of the cheaper clubs. I should say cheaper. I should use a different term. Inexpensive clubs, right? Whereas like for the first Rotary club in the world, Rotary One, it's a little more expensive to attend. When they meet in person, they meet at the Union League clubs. You can't, at least up until recently, you couldn't go up in the Union League club wearing jeans or shorts in the summer, right? You had to match a certain dress code. The Union League club up until recently, like probably the past 20, 30 years, didn't let women in, probably didn't let black folk in either, right? So that's a different flavor of club, whereas our club on the South Side, we're the black club. And Dr. Ron will tell you, when we showed out, when he was emceeing, he like, man, look at this. It's family here, so that's how we roll. So I hope I answered your question. Not really an age limit. We usually don't see people come in until their 30s, but we always try to get them younger if we can because they're bringing the energy, they're bringing the vision. And Rotary has to change the way it does things too, because Rotary, if you join Rotary, you went to Rotary Club every week, except for 4th of July week and Christmas week. Some clubs still meet like that. And these younger folks today, they're like, you want me to come to a meeting every week? You serious? No, I ain't even in the same city every week. What you talking about? So we got to change the way we flow. That's why we went virtual for one reason, because we were already doing like a hybrid thing before the pandemic, because we said to our members, hey, we know y'all travel, y'all got families, y'all might work late. Hey, you can jump on Zoom. And, some of our members like, nah, I ain't doing Zoom. Now everybody doing Zoom,
Yeah. And let me just say this. The Rotary would have meetings in places where they had excellent food. For a long time, they were romancing me into the organization. And I tell you, I would go because they were like, meet me here at this time. And I would show up, and boy, they would throw down. So I think I'm just like an honorary, friend to the organization, But they have, oh my God, they know how to lay out a spread. I tell you, they would have nice parties. I remember when Dr. KK first came in, after and they would throw down in Dalton and downtown. They would go to African restaurant. I mean, they would lay it out. And then one of the other accomplishments that drew me and the Rotary close together, for 3 years in a row, they did a no crime day. An event where the whole primary focus was trying to, analyze, and they had seminars speaking on what can we do to stop the violence in the city of Chicago. And that was an outstanding event that they did 3 years in a row. And then
3 years in a row?
Yep.
That's right.
And then, not sure. I know Phenomenon came out of that event as well as being a featured organization to work with, because they were working with so many young people with the spoken word. And I'm glad that they were successful in getting funded, because they were working and doing the work out of their own pocket.
That's right.
Working with the young people each and every day out of their own pocket. So much work, much success. Let me give a couple of shout outs here. I see a couple of people chiming in. Tangi, she said, hey, everyone. Carl Davis Jr. We got Chandra, another host out of Tampa Bay. She's on the line. She's saying hello to everyone. Andrew just popped in. Donald Green over in Arizona, he just popped in. Just a couple of shout outs. Miss Jeanette, they just popped in to say hello. And I know they're hanging in there, because when you start talking about $1 billion, you got everybody's attention,
Right. No doubt. No doubt.
So, just from what I remember of being involved, as a friend to the organization, there was a lot accomplished and a lot of things that, where it came out of some of the things that you all were doing, with your, outreach in the Chicagoland area, because, and it's unfortunate that the violence in Chicago still has not slowed down at all.
That's right.
But you were addressing it. And you had people to come in from the community to address it, to see what we can do to try and make this a better, scenario in the Chicagoland area. So I just wanted to kind of add that in on involvement, with the Rotary. And I know you went on to occupy that #1 seat, and you weren't able to organize that No Crime Day anymore after you had moved up. But it was still such a pliable, event, especially on the south side of Chicago. I think we were even, now you say we like I'm involved, but like we were even talking about doing it on the west side at one time.
That's right.
But we never got a chance to do it.
You can say we. You can say we. You're part of it.
Yeah.
You're part of it. No doubt. Definitely. Yeah, and that comes from kind of the DNA, if you will, of the organization. When the UN was founded in 1945 after the World War II, there were 47 Rotarians that were part of the chartering of the UN. So peace is actually an intrinsic part of what Rotary is supposed to be about. The problem I think that Rotary has had is it looks at peace from that perspective, right? Of stopping, these big wars. And, where are we talking about peace? We need to have peace in Syria and Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran. But and so we started flipping the script and saying, but we need peace right here on the west and south side of Chicago.
Yep.
And so we got all this expertise around peace building. Let's bring that expertise here, right? And so again, a lot of people don't even know about Rotary. Rotary also is one of the biggest funders for post-secondary education grants. So one of the grants that it has a massive peace programs called Peace Fellowship. Every year, 50 people are selected from around the world to go through a 2-year intensive peace studies, conflict resolution, international relationships program, and they go to peace centers that Rotary has set up around the world. There's one in Japan, there's one here in the U.S., there's one in England. There's actually, I believe there's a new one actually in Uganda. There's a couple others I'm missing, but 50 people get to go into this intensive program, and they come out and they're like peace junkies. I mean, they're like, yeah, let's make peace, and they have creative ways of doing it, and they get selected because of the ways that they've been doing some of the work in their communities. So that peace was made sense, right? And that was actually one of my predecessors as governor, and one of my mentors, Pat Merriweather, who said, hey, how are we gonna be about peace and have done all this in the world, and we're right here in the back. Our international headquarters is here in Evanston, Illinois. We started in Chicago, and we got all this violence running around right here in our backyard. How can we even stand up and say we're part of a peace organization and we ain't doing nothing about it? And that's how we kind of got into that whole piece.
Yeah,
Peace.
Yeah, there you go. So did you have any more questions, Fiona? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Did you say something about a group called Phenomenon?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So
Okay.
brother Phenom and Sister K Love, those are people. So they had a program called Lyric Squad. Lyric meant let your rhymes inspire creativity. That was an acronym. And what they were doing, as Dr. Ron said, they were coming out their own pocket, and they were interacting with young people who liked what they were talking about, liked how they were flowing. They were doing some programs in the school around just building up community and all that. And they had this following of young people like, man, how can I be like y'all? How can I be like y'all? Phenom and K Love in their own right are world-renowned spoken word artists. They have albums out, right? And so they said, well, maybe we could put this to some good use. So they started a program, again, out of their own pockets, to say, let's bring these young people. We're going to do a spoken word event every week. We're going to feed people, And so they had these programs, these spoken word open mics on the South Side, no incidents, right? And they had, I went to a couple with my young children at the time, with no fear that anything was going to happen to him, because the spirit up in the spot was, we're trying to build something here. We ain't trying to do all that negative rap and, these BWs and all these other words and all that. If we're going to rap, we're going to rap about how we can make positive change in our community. So Phenom is one of the people who started that. I actually ran into Phenom. He used to have a group called Poetry Chicago. And so he branched out with Sister K Love. They did Lyric Squad. And then I was like, man, we got to find a way to package this, if you will, the right way for Rotary, and that's the grant that we have for. It's called MC School, is the name of the program that we're funding.
And they did it for years. For a number of years. For years and years and years. There was like an after-school program. They would bring the people in, and it was a safe haven for the children. And every time there was a Rotary event, they would bring the young people in and let them perform. And I'm telling you, it was a very wonderful thing to see. I'm like I said, I'm glad they were able to get funded, through the opportunity to give back to them what they have been putting out all along.
That's right.
It was a beautiful thing.
That's right.
Yep. Any more questions, Fiona? On where we at now? Because he got some more stuff. He ain't through yet.
I got some more stuff, no doubt.
No, we can flow right into the next.
Okay, so you want to talk about the school and the training program?
The school.
Yes.
That
should be a short piece.
Right. You got jokes, right. I'm going to try to make it short, because I do want to get this other piece in that we kind of just briefly talked about. So my wife and I, we started out doing community work together in Chicago, and also in the town we went to in U of I Champaign. And when we came back to Chicago and we had just gotten married, we were kind of hanging with some folks that had also been doing that work. And we like, well, what can we do? So we started she kind of carried on with some of the work she was doing at UIC as a grad student, and they started a Saturday program. And they're like, okay, all right, this is great, but what can we do? So we started looking at other things, started looking actually at daycare at the time, and we're like, okay, we're not ready for that yet. So we started our own programs, and then it just became more and more clear that we had to do more. So daycare became the focus, where my wife, her business partner, and her business partner's mother started, looking at daycare. Actually, the mother actually opened up a daycare, and I mean, it's actually a very lucrative business. I mean, if you're in the business of it, you can do very well if you're in the business of it. And what was happening was, first of all, they came with a mentality of, we're not babysitters. We're not just going to, just have your kids sitting in front and we're going to be on our phones or watching TV or whatever. We're trying to do what we call early learning, right? Early childhood education. And so when they moved on that and really took moved it up, and the mother was a former CPS teacher. She had retired, and she was actually frustrated. That's how she really got into it, because she was frustrated in CPS. She was seeing his kids who weren't prepared and, weren't getting what they needed at the earlier level. She said, I need to start earlier. So that's why she jumped into daycare. And a couple of years later, parents, they were like, man, we love what you're doing, but y'all done messed up, because now you overprepared our kids for the school down the street. What y'all gonna do? So we looked at a daycare. They looked at a daycare, not a daycare, but really a kindergarten program the first year. That was in 2007, fall of 2007. And that went well. Our son actually was in that first kindergarten program. He was bringing home math homework. I'm like, dude, I'm an engineer. And I'm like, what is this? What, you got to do this for kindergarten? Are you kidding me? Man, okay, we got to sit down and get the calculator out or something. I don't know. So anyway, that was a success. And so parents said, okay, great. Thank you for the kindergarten program, because some of them are actually having their kids come back into the daycare that should have been in kindergarten because they were learning more in our daycare. So they said, all right, next step. So they're like, okay, let's maybe start a school. So we started the school. 2008, we opened our doors, Village Leadership Academy. We started with 2 kindergarten classes, 1 first grade class and 1 second grade class, 80 kids. Ever since then, we built on a year. So we went all the way up to the 8th grade. Our first graduating class, 8th grade, was 2015. And we've had a graduating class every year. We're a small school. We don't usually go, at least now, haven't gone over about 200 students. What we built into the program in the second year was, again, this is nothing that happens for accident, right? Nothing happens accidentally. We had a brother who was actually working in the Saturday program who had done some studying of capoeira. I don't know if y'all are familiar with capoeira. It's a Brazilian fighting art, but really is Afro-Brazilian. It actually comes from West Africa, from Angola, and it looks like a dance, right? It looks like you're playing around, and people usually smile and they kind of moving kind of slow, but it can be a very lethal martial art. And he had done some studying in Brazil with it. He's like, man, maybe I could do a capoeira program at the school. And he was like, yeah, maybe we could do that. And then we actually had that same year a teaching assistant who was Afro-Brazilian. So our principal was like, you know what? Let's go to Brazil. Let's take our 3rd graders to Brazil. And we were like, you're joking, right? 3rd graders to Brazil. We're going to go to Brazil. Who speaks Portuguese? Only the sister there? Right. Okay. Yeah, right. We went to Brazil. We took about maybe, 15, 20 kids with us to Brazil. Blew our minds, right? And we were actually in Black Brazil. We were in Salvador, Bahia. And we were like, man, that looks like my cousin over on the west side. That looks like my sister. So that kind of opened up our world to say, okay, can we continue to do this? So, okay, let's get through this. We got home. And we had just hired a brother from the Congo to be our French teacher. And he was like, oh, y'all had a great time in Brazil, huh? Yeah, man, it was off the chain, man. We got to see this. We got to do this. He was like, you know what? Y'all should come to the Congo. You were like, the Congo? Ain't they fighting in the Congo? He was like, yeah, but see, my dad, he's like connected with some folks, and he could get an invitation from the Minister of Education. And we were like, you serious? Dad came from the Congo and invited us, brought a letter from the Minister of Education to come invite us. And we were like, okay, all right, this looks kind of serious. So the brother and I said, okay, we got to formulate this. We got to get these kids on code, right? If they're going to go to Congo, it ain't, we got to really make sure they're tight. They know what's going on. They at least are familiar with the language, know the history, Rumble in the Jungle, Ali Boumbaye. They got to know all that, right? Patrice Lumumba, right? Y'all remember that, right?
Yeah,
that was in the Congo.
I remember.
Yep. Yeah, that was Kinshasa, So we had to go through that. So we kind of put together a class and got them ready, and we took them to the Congo, and it was. Man, it was all that. It was emotional. It was terrifying. It was elating. I mean, we got into this village in the town called Gemina, right? We came on this bus. There were like 500 people there waiting there to greet us. We were all in tears, like, wow, we're home, and the village was like, man, welcome. And we're like, man, this is amazing. So that's really what started us on our trek. So every year since then, except for last year, every year since then, we've gone to another country. So 2010 was Brazil, 2011 was Congo, 2012 was the Yucatan of Mexico, which was awesome. Brother down there, Senor Juan, he's like my uncle. He showed us the Maya civilization down there. After that, we went to, that was 2014, 2012, 2013, we went to South Africa. 2014, we went to Panama. 2015 was, I'm losing it now, but we've been to Cuba, we've been to DR, we've been to Guatemala, we've been to Costa Rica, we went to Ghana. We were supposed to go to Rwanda last year, and we were looking so forward to that because Rwanda, brothers, a couple sisters I've been talking to, they're like, you want some Wakanda forever? You need to come to Rwanda because they doing it like that. And so, and every year we teach a class to prepare them. We learn, get them to learn a little bit about the language, the culture, the history, but also put it into perspective of global oppression, global liberation. What does it mean to people of African descent in the diaspora? Because we're predominantly African American. We do have some Latino and some Indian, some white, but very few. And that in Mexico, actually, and DR and Guatemala and Costa Rica have tied in. And we've always gone to, even in Guatemala and Costa Rica, we found the African populations there and connected with them, right? I don't know if you've heard of the Garufuna. We've met with them, that community in Guatemala. And so that's our World Scholars Program, which has become a staple of who we are and what we do as an institution, bringing that world education into the classroom. Students can self-select at third grade. We started third grade, all the way to eighth graders can go. There's a cost involved. We help defray that cost by fundraising and having an annual gala. Dr. Ron, I think you've been to at least one of the galas, if not a couple of them.
A couple of them, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's a big piece of who we are. And then we focus also on social justice. So we're a social justice school. And so one of the things that we do is we have built into our classroom structure, our pedagogy, if you will, is what's called the grassroots campaigns, or GRCs. So our grassroots campaigns are basically ways for our students to get understanding of what's going on in their own communities and starting to really think, what can we do? And unfortunately, the perception of our students is, well, I'm just a kid, I can't do nothing. Well, our students were involved when everything touched off with the first Black Lives Matter piece, and there was all these protests against the police, and Laquan McDonald tape came out. Our students were at the forefront of that, and they were leading protests over to the Juvenile Justice Department. Our students have been pushing, you could say very basic issues like around obesity, around drinking, too much sugary drinks, when the pop text came out, right? Around domestic violence, about child abuse. So they're looking at issues and concerns that they might even have some personal connection with. And then they say, what can we do to be a part of the solution? And then they branch out to community-based organizations to touch and say, okay, how do we support? So they've presented petitions to the governor when, for example, when Quinn was governor, they presented him a petition. They've been interacting with, some of these grassroots organizations that have taken note. Most recently, they got the name changed of a park. There's a park on the west side where Rekia Boyd was shot by the police, and they have a Rekia Boyd tree, and the park is named after Stephen Douglas, or was named, because it was officially changed. It was named after Stephen Douglas, who was the senator from Illinois. He tried to run for president against Lincoln and lost. And he was pro-slavery. And they were like, wait a minute, there's a park on the west side in the hood named after a dude who was pro-slavery? Oh, no, that got to change. And so they fought, and they petitioned the aldermen, they petitioned the park district. And it wasn't really until everything touched off last year with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and everything going on, the city of Chicago and the board of the trustees of the Chicago Park District said, okay, all right, maybe we need to move on that. So this is right around the time they decided to get rid of the Columbus statue and all that. Mm-hmm. So the students got that park name changed. Now it's called the I'm gonna mess it up. It's Frederick, and I want to say Anna. I'm gonna mess her name up, but his wife, I should know her name, and I apologize for that. But it's a Frederick and Anna Douglas Park. They got it named after Frederick Douglass and his wife because of the work that they did. So and it was an easy change. It was just add another S at the end, but it had to go through the whole process, right? Yeah. So that's that GRC, or the grassroots campaign, is also an integral part of what we do. We're trying to train our students to empower themselves, learn about their power, learn about their leadership skills and how they can hone that, and then how do you make that practical in the world. Not to mention, you got to do your 3 R's, the writing, reading, arithmetic, right?
So now, did the high school ever manifest? Because I know at one time you all had a high school.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
We're still working on that. We still want to have that happen. So we're still at the kindergarten through 8th grade stage. Okay. Of course, the pandemic has put a damper on everything.
Right.
But we were at some point very close to getting a site approved. So, but that is still the vision, is to still do a high school. I mean, we love to do the whole pipeline, right? I mean, we get them in daycare. Our daycare started 6 weeks. We'd love to take them all the way up through college. But we stop at 8th grade now. Most of our students, when they graduate, they have the option to go at least to one selective enrollment school. And that's part of the measure. The other measure is how much of a responsible citizen and socially aware citizen are they as they go into these spaces. And some of them have gone on in the high school and have become very strong and very supportive and very active in their communities, in their high schools, and in the city as well.
And most of this is all self-funded, right? You don't get any major funding for endowments or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't get any major funding. It is we're a small, we call ourselves independent school. We don't say private because private people think Latin. They think see lab school. They think those things. And we're not that. We beg for money. We ask for money. We raise money. We are able to leverage some of the programs that the state does have for example, young people who get assistance from the state for daycare. Our for some of those programs don't age out to they're 12. So we're able to take advantage of that because we do a full school day. Our school day during the regular year starts at 8 o'clock and ends at 5. We're not 9 to 1:30 and some of these kids like, man, y'all barely in school. So yeah.
Yeah, right quick, let me say this, and then I'm going to add, I know Fiona got questions. She always got questions. Francisco's comment is, I never really knew exactly what the Rotary Club did. It's great to hear about them and other individuals working to do great things for the culture. We can be heroes. Now,
That's
Francisco's
right.
over in New Jersey. He's also
all right, Francisco
is a host of his own broadcast, so he's tuning in and checking us out. So you educating them today, brother, as always.
That's right.
Now all understand why I said we got a legend in the midst. Okay. This brother has been to a foreign country every year for about 10 years straight. I'm like, man, you my hero, man. Oh wow, I need to be traveling with you.
Right.
But I can't dig no wells or nothing like that. So I can't be jumping out there like that. And I ain't good with kids. I'm only good for a couple hours. After that, then I'm in trouble. I'm be like, can someone please come get the children?
Oh yeah, no, those trips to those young people are challenging.
Oh, I believe.
And I'll be honest with you, but I'll be honest with you though. It's the grown children you got to be more concerned about than the young children.
There you go.
Because we go to some of these places. They're like, okay, I'm about to go kick it. Like, we in a vacation.
Right.
This is the educational tour. What are you talking about? Now we have fun, but it's like we make it clear this ain't no vacation. We're going here to learn and be ambassadors for our institution and for the country, really, to a certain extent.
There you go.
And our communities, of course.
Yeah. All right, Miss Fiona, go ahead. I know you got something.
Okay. A few moments back, you had said how some of your parents were very happy, or they were understood when you were teaching them in kindergarten, and then they said, and I'm just paraphrasing, sorry if I missed something.
That's all right.
As far as once they get to kindergarten, they're too advanced. Did you guys have trouble getting parents on board and understanding that learning starts in preschool?
I don't think the parents that had gone through our program, I don't think had any problem understanding that. And they saw in their own children, right, that they were learning at a different rate in a different way than the children that they were sitting next to in the kindergarten classrooms, right? They saw it first and foremost, right? I think it was more so the students that hadn't come. So still, the majority of our students still come from our own daycares, right? We still have our daycares, and majority of them come from the West Side, actually. where it's the other people who are checking us out, have heard about our work, and early on it was hard, like, okay, well, I want my child to go to the gifted program, and then they need to be an early involvement. I want to get them into Whitney Young or Northside College Prep or, like that. And so can y'all do that? And it was skepticism because like we're untested quantity, so now that we have 12, 13 years under our belt, they see that our students are actually excelling. They're going to some of these institutions. So I think a lot of them, the ones that have been with us, they get it, right? And I mean, the reality is we wish we could have more come with us at the beginning so that when it wouldn't be, because it is a culture shock for some folks, right? They come in from a CPS school and they know how challenging, I'll put it that way, how challenging it can be in CPS, right? And they come into an environment where it ain't like that. And we actually care. I'm not saying CPS teachers don't care, but because we're small, our class sizes usually aren't over 20 kids, So we have a built-in kind of safety net, if you will, where we can have conversations about things. So it's those students that are coming in kind of, I don't want to say off the street, but are coming in after the formative years that have to kind of understand how we roll, right? I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, you are. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
And then if you could say, I know you're bringing your students to different countries, which is awesome. Could you narrow down and say what your school's basic needs are?
Basic needs.
Yeah.
Money. Again, we're not getting that $14,000 per pupil, that some of these schools get, right? We have been able to take advantage of some of the new state programs. People think of it as vouchers, but if you think about it, we're doing what unfortunately sometimes our public school system can't do, right? So we're I don't say picking up the slack because we only got 200 kids, but we're trying for those kids we can reach. So resources, those type of resources are very helpful. If we had the resources to build our own school or to have our own high school, we would do that in a heartbeat. And because that would give us actually more capacity. At one point we were busting at the seams because we were just running out of space in the space that we're in now over in the South Loop. So resources are big. Now that's not the only thing. We have some of the same things that other schools have. We have a career day, so we always need professionals to come and be part of that. We have tutoring programs. We have actually after school programs where we look for resources for people to come and show your skills. So we've had a chess club, we've had a computer coding club, we have karate. We have violin, so we're bringing, and so some of those have happened because people understand what we're about and they want to be a part of that, right? So I would say in general, it's not just money, it's resources to be able to enhance more of what we do.
Okay.
All right. You got something else, Fiona?
Last one. And then you also meet the needs of every child's learning development.
We do what we can. So the reality is we're not equipped necessarily to handle students with very special needs, right? We're just not equipped to do that right now. We've had a few, and we've been successful in some cases. In some cases, we had to sit down with families like we don't have the counselor staff, we don't have the special skills to do these particular things. We try. We want to give it. We want to give an effort. So I would say that, yes, we try to do what we can with the resources that we have. That's why, again, resources are our biggest need, So, yeah.
Okay. I just think that's another important thing because I had a couple of adults who wanted their kids to go to private school, but not understanding that not every school is equipped to each individual's learning style.
That's right. I would always suggest if parents are interested in Village Leadership Academy to come and check us out. Granted, in this crazy time we're in, it's a little hard, but to come do a site visit, do a tour, talk to the teachers, talk to the administrators. We work with families around finances. We're probably one of the least expensive private school options in the city of Chicago, especially given the quality that we give. And we have found ways to be creative about providing resources for parents and families that come to us and say, hey, this is a need I have, and trying to find ways to work some things out. It's not always the case, but we try.
Right.
Yeah. So you truly have a program with no child left behind.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Or at least to say we're going to give it as best effort as we can, and if we can't,
I think we lost him.
Yeah.
There he is.
Uh-oh.
There you go. Okay, you froze up for a second. All right.
Oh, sorry about
No
that.
problem.
Okay.
No
I don't know
problem.
what happened.
No problem.
Wasn't me.
Yeah. No problem.
But I was just to say that we try to do what we can, but the key to it is working with the families. The families are open. I mean, I can tell you a couple success stories. We don't have time for it, I know, but I mean, this has been success stories where we had some bad kids, right? And there's no such thing as a bad kid, but they were bad kids. And when the families got on board, we saw a 180-degree turn, and I mean, some of them are coming back saying, "Man, Mr. Osei, I'm glad to see you. I'm doing this. I'm like, man, I can't believe I wanted to kick you out. I wanted to kick you out so bad. Look at you now, because the family got on board and worked with us.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah. All right. You through about this, Fiona?
Yeah, that was really good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Look, we're running over, but we're going to keep on going. We're not going to stop.
Are we?
Yes, we're going to run over. Okay. I know you got another class to go to, Fiona, so hang in there. All right. This is the final topic. Now, this is that little thing that's been scrolling across the screen all through the whole show. This is an energy program, a green energy program that he's involved in. And he's going to tell us about that because it's too important not to talk about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if you haven't heard, the world is dying, right? I mean, we're in trouble. Despite what that man said, there is such thing as global warming and greenhouse gases, and there's a finite supply of oil, coal, wood. I mean, wood is not finite, but wood burns and creates gases. So myself, and a couple of my good compatriots have gotten together and started our own company called Synergy Eco Solutions Enterprise, right? And Synergy is a play on the word of sese, which is a word from Ghana, from the language called Ewe, and sese means power. So Synergy is powerful energy. And that's what we're trying to produce, and we're trying to find ways to also train people on how to harness. So we're a company that is doing implementation of solar right now, but we're also going to move into other forms of renewable and clean energy. But we're doing solar now, and we're not only just trying to do implementation and installation, but we're also training people on how to do installation and maintenance and understanding the whole, if you will, solar game. And so we're working right now. We have a cohort right now of about 15 students. Some of them are returning citizens, meaning from the present, have had to serve some time. Some of them are young people who are trying to kind of redirect their lives. Some of them are just people who are saying, I need to refocus my life on a different career path. And we got this cohort that is moving strong. They're going to be certified. I'm claiming it. All of them are going to be certified in what's called NABCEP certification, which is National Certification for Solar, to be able to be either assessors of whether you can put panels on your house, or to be able to install the panels, to be able to measure the panels, and also be part of, again, this solar game. We are also working with a number of organizations around their specific needs around energy. We work with some off-grid organizations that are trying to find creative ways to be able to do things like, who's ever thought of growing food, right? We need to grow food. And so we're working with some organizations that are growing food and saying, how do we do this? How do we do this year round in a climate like this where we got minus 20-degree, wind chills and snow? But there's ways to do it, especially using renewable energy. So we don't have to hurt the planet. We can help the planet at the same time, feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, build for ourselves, and then do all the things that we can do within our communities. And we have the talent, we have the power, it's like, we have the technology, the $6 million man. I'm dating myself now, right? We have the technology, we can do this. And solar has come down drastically in price. Everybody now is selling panels. So that's why we're saying we're not just selling panels. We're selling an entree for our community into the renewable energy space. So Synergy is about that. The four of us that are at the core, we are all on fire. We talk literally every day. And some of us have the experience of actually doing the implementation around the world. Some of us have the experience of doing the training and doing technical training around the world. Some of us have, our sister Leslie is awesome marketing and strategist person. She makes it all look good. She makes it look good. She makes it look awesome. I mean, we were sitting on a meeting and she said, okay, I got the website up. We're like, what? While we were like, just right now? And it's like, yeah, it's done. We're like, wow, okay. I mean, so that's what we own. So Synergy is about bringing energy to our communities, empowering our communities, but also empowering our community members to be able to understand this stuff. Because the reality is, we look at, again, it's just like Rotary, when you look in the renewable energy spaces, when you look at solar, it's like, ain't a lot of us, ain't a lot of us in it. and definitely all of us not, really understanding it. And how do we leverage that, and how do we again utilize that to empower ourselves to be able to eat with that, right? And then how do we empower some of our communities? I mean, some of our communities are in some of the most oppressed areas in this country, where they're literally under power lines, which have been shown to cause cancer, right? Or I mean, there's a big protest. I don't know if you heard about this hunger strike this guy's going on down in southeast Chicago, because they're about to put a metal factory down there, like a metal chopping.
Shredding, yeah.
Right. Because historically our communities, he talked about environmental racism. Historically, our communities are put near these industries that are destructive to our planet and destructive to us. And so how do we create a different way of looking at specifically energy, but energy fuels everything else, literally, so how do we do that? And that's what Synergy is about. And we are on fire, and we are trying to do what we can to change the game.
And it sounds like you're doing it. As usual,
Yes, sir.
man, very, very, very powerful information. As you all see the website on the screen here, go over,
Check us out,
browse around. His phone number is here. Call him up, leave a message, tell him you like to talk to him about any of the things that he talked about on today, because we covered a lot in a short period of time, and man, I thank you. When I tell people that, you are a legend, I really mean it. So now they know why. They got a little glimpse into why you are, why I say who you are. Especially, we've been talking about, Black History moments, and you just covered a lot. Man, all the things that you have been involved with, and you're still available to us. Some of our legends are not still here, but you're still available to us. And I appreciate all that you do and all that you're going to do. Man, I can't thank you and applaud you enough. But I'm gonna need you to do something for me.
Yes, sir.
Come back and be with us again.
Bruh, it ain't nothing but a thing. All you got to do is ask, bruh.
All right.
Not a problem.
I like that. See? So, Miss Fiona, you got anything you want to ask him before we let him get out of here?
I think I drilled him enough.
Okay. Good.
I appreciate it.
Oh, no, it was my pleasure, my honor, Dr. Ron. I love you.
Man, I love you back, man. There ain't nothing you can do about it, brother. So look,
as you say,
we already overtime. So I don't have a problem going overtime, for a worthy cause. But please leave us with something before, you get out of here today, and then we're gonna close the show out. That's what we're gonna do.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave you with one of my favorite quotes that is attributed to an African proverb that speaks to, I think, where we are as a people, but also speaks to what our mission, if you will, needs to be. I celebrate Kwanzaa. I believe in the Nguzo Saba, and I don't say, and it's not like a religion. Let me make that clear, because people sometimes get that wrong. But the Nguzo Saba and Kwanzaa talks about how do we lift ourselves up and how do we make ourselves, self-sufficient and self-determining, right? We all get upset and mad when they come out with these movies, and you're like, oh man, here they go again. They're making us the criminal. They're making us the bad guy. We lose again, except for Get Out, right? We lose. So the quote goes like this. It goes, "Until lions have historians, hunters will continue to be heroes."
Yes.
Again, until lions have historians, hunters will continue to be heroes. So we are the lions, and we need historians. We need to tell our own story. We need to work in our own best interest, because unfortunately, the hunters ain't going to do that. They've demonstrated that over not just hundreds, but thousands of years. So we need to do that. We need to be about the business of, they're not going to do what they're supposed to do. It's up to us to do what we're supposed to do. And that may mean, going against what they're doing sometimes. And that's part of the nature, right? So so I'll leave it at that. Thank you again so much for y'all having me.
Yes,
and
yes, definitely. Well, look, you sit right there. Don't go anywhere. We're going to close out the show today. I appreciate everybody for coming on, paying attention, and watching what we've been doing here. Francisco says, great show. We got Lou all the way over in Maryland. He tuned in and heard some of this stuff today. So please like and share. Get this information out there. I need you guys to support my vendors, support all the people on the website, ask-dr-ron.com. Also, go over to Immaculate Consultants. What is it? What is it?
Educate,
Go ahead, Fiona.
Immaculate Educational Consulting.
Yeah, that's Fiona's website. So you all go over there and support what she's doing. She's an educator. She needs you all support. Look, we are overtime today, but it was well worth it. I love you guys. Come back and be with us on Sunday. Miss Fiona is going to have another Black History moment for us. She got me last week, y'all. She was talking about Deadwood Dick or something, and I was like, what? What the hell did you just say? But it was a black cowboy. I understood where she was going with it. So
Nate Love.
That's right. That's right.
look, Miss Fiona, take us out of here.
Stay safe, stay warm. See you next Tuesday.
Y'all take care now. Peace and love.
Right. All right. Thank you.